Hello, my name is Naja Tao, and I've been doing a series of conversation starter questions that are usually hypothetical or philosophical in nature. This question is Halloween related, and it's from teambuilding.com. And it is, in a scary movie, is it scarier to see the monster or never see it at all? I think it's scarier to never see it at all because I think everything in life is scarier when you're imagining it versus confronting it. Anticipating the future is the scariest thing you can go through. Will I go to the hospital and leave with debt I can't pay? Will I get into a car crash and lose a leg? Will my loved ones die and leave behind a huge amount of stuff I need to do to settle the estate? Will I have to put my pet down because I can't pay for treatment? Will everyone hate me at my presentation? Will I be unable to find a new job if I lose this one? Most of the time, just asking these questions and worrying about these scenarios to an excess is worse than what will happen when these scenarios actually come to pass. And I mean, all those scenarios will come to pass for a lot of people. And since we're talking about monsters, let me tell you, there are way worse things in life than being killed by a monster. If you die, your suffering has ended. Congratulations. In my opinion, far worse than dying is worrying so much about your problems at work for a couple of years that you stress eat until you get diabetes and go blind. Worse than dying is being unable to afford your rent, so you spend the next several years homeless, shivering each night, trying to protect the few things you own and looking in garbage cans for food. I think reptiles and amphibians are kind of lucky to be built the way they are. The temperatures aren't right, they die. They get too stressed out, they die. Humans are pretty adaptable. You can go through an incredible amount of internal distress, and your body will just keep going. It'll keep you alive. Not so with reptiles and amphibians. In fact, I think maybe the only way you could be really convinced that dying is worse than the way the average person goes through life is if you believe in hell and think you're going there. And I don't think most people who believe in hell believe they're going there. A couple poor, tortured souls do believe that, I'm sure. But I don't think that's average. I just watched a video on my newsfeed that said that people who are terminally ill have a more positive outlook on life. And I think the video is kind of like suggesting that this is because they're more aware that tomorrow isn't guaranteed. Nah. You can look back with nostalgia on the worst times of your life. It doesn't mean that going through those experiences is fun. These terminally ill people can look at life more positively because the stress of fearing the future is finally gone. So, it's the anticipation of all the horrible things this monster can do that makes him scary. And once you show that, it's probably a little bit of a letdown to some extent. But a movie is kind of like having the fun of watching someone solve a puzzle. So I think at some point, showing the monster is just a part of that puzzle. The audience does want the satisfaction of answers at some point. And the only media I've seen where they break that rule of needing to provide a satisfying resolution is Twin Peaks, the 2017 reboot. And I think I would have liked that series better if they had shown the evil entity and explained it by the end. But, hide that monster for a while at least. Scarier that way, in my opinion. So if you have any comments about anything I have said in this video, or if you have an answer to the question, in a scary movie, is it scarier to see the monster or never see it at all? Please leave your comments in the comment section below. I love likes, I love subscribes, and I'm going to color a little bit of this ghost. Feel like this nice green would do something for this. It's a little too light, but yeah, I think that would work. Yeah, I was saying that I think that hell is probably um, the only way you could think that dying is worse than the average person's life. Yeah, I said that. But I kind of justified that by thinking, well, the main choices for the afterlife are that you go to heaven, or you just don't exist anymore. And I mean, you can't suffer if you don't exist anymore. So that's not really particularly scary. It's a little scary thinking you're not going to think or feel anything anymore. But I mean, logically, you're not around to even experience that fear anymore. So it's not a big deal. But that's how I was justifying that. They're very pale colors. Let's go with this yellow. I feel like a little bit overwhelmed by all the little shapes. I feel like there are more shapes than I can handle. I had a pretty uneventful day today. I went to the grocery store and I didn't buy that many groceries, but I spent $62. And I was like, wow, really? I bought fixings for sandwiches. I got sourdough bread. I bought an onion. I bought a little jar of capers. I bought some sale smoked salmon. And I bought some ricotta cheese. And I also got some coffee. I got some K-Cups that were on sale. And I got eggs. And I got some honeydew melon. And I think that is everything I bought. And it came out to $62 and 30 something cents, I believe. I just wasn't expecting that. I mean, I guess it is a little bit fancier of a sandwich. I've never um I've never tried this sandwich before. So I'm not aware of what it would have cost in the past. But yeah, it concerns me a little bit. I'm concerned about what's going to happen when um, the SNAP benefits end in November of this year. Like, are people going to start looting stores? I remember they were already looting stores in California. They built a Walmart and they shut it down within like a year, I want to say, because my God, it just seemed like people were unhinged. They were just like opening stuff in the store and being crazy. So I imagine a lot of places are going to get kind of scary. I mean, I live in a pretty nice area. You don't see the unruliness that was in um, the place I lived in California, but I don't know. I mean, if you raise housing enough and if wages are just low and housing is high and wages are low, I think everywhere, not just where I live, really pushes people to behave in desperate ways, I think. We'll see what happens. We will see what happens. I don't even know how to approach this. This seems like a lot. I mean, it could be that I have an overly pessimistic outlook about the future because I haven't really investigated this topic that I think might help me. I want to say that Marsha Linehan talked about treating mental illness by uh, creating a life worth living for people. And I want to know if that concept she came up with is also something that can be implemented in really depressing economic times. And yeah, especially because I'm really concerned that it's gonna get worse because I keep feeding my news feed the suggestion that I really want to watch videos about AI. So I get recommended a lot of videos about AI, and they're always talking about, oh, AI is gonna usher in about 10 years of people struggling to find a job and struggling to pay the bills because AI is going to slowly replace the amount of people needed. I just don't really know what to believe. I've talked with some people who think that AI is not going to do anything, but the experts really seem to think that AI will one day usher in a utopia, but in the meantime, it's going to usher in a depression. So I don't really know what to anticipate. Anticipating the future. I did talk a little bit about that in this video. Kind of liking the color scheme of this little ghost with all the tiny little things to click. I'm wondering if I'm going to miss a couple spots. Okay, well, I'm going to leave this here for the moment. I want to thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.